As an 18-year-old, I moved to the United States of America to pursue my undergraduate education. I got admission into the college of my dreams and was quickly sucked into the world of academic exploration, clubs, parties. I was one of the lucky few whose roommates became my best friend, and we were strategically located for all of our friends to hang out. It was a social overload, and I loved it. The second year, though, was a complete contrast to the first. I was allocated a single room, on the third floor of a dorm, and I felt completely isolated and removed from the rest of the college campus. Everything seemed to exhaust me. I had just about the energy to go to class and come back. My social life was non-existent. My uncle, who was a doctor, diagnosed me with an autoimmune condition, where basically my immune system is attacking my body. So this explained my sudden weight gain of over 23 kilos in just over 2 years. And most importantly, it explained why I was feeling anxious and lonely. So he gave me a few things to do, such as pop a pill every morning and be under the guidance of personal nutritionists and trainers. And while I did end up losing a bit of weight, I still knew that things weren't normal. So this led me towards a journey of self-discovery. One, from feeling extremely sorry for myself to now, where I know a little bit about what hurts me and what suits me the most, and to now where I've gained the confidence to share my story with everybody. I'm going to talk about an experience I'm sure all of you would have had while accompanying a parent to a social event. A well-intentioned relative would compliment your parent on how good he or she looked, and would then comment on how you looked more like a sibling than a child. At that point in time, I'm sure you would have had the most unkind things and thoughts to say about this relative. But have you ever introspected as to what prompted this relative to make such a comment? What was this external manifestation that made you seem older than you actually are? Why did you seem biologically older than your chronological age? So chronological age is defined as the age that you actually are, whereas biological age is the age that you actually seem and is influenced by your lifestyle. A few days ago, my uncle recalled a conversation that he had with one of the top cardiothoracic surgeons in the country. On their routine walk around the hospital, the doctor stopped at the waiting room and asked my uncle what he saw. My uncle responded that he saw a lot of older people waiting, to which the doctor responded that a few years ago, a lot of younger kids would have brought their older parents in for checkups. But today, older people are getting their younger kids in for checkups. And this is after I just read that a 16-year-old had a heart attack. We're constantly seeing youngsters deal with heart issues, hypertension, diabetes, and osteoporosis. An interventional cardiologist actually made an observation that the symptoms and the heart attacks that the younger people experience aren't the regular ones that the older people experience. Women have it worse. Women are constantly dealing with infertility, and they're hitting menopause as young as 35. And this makes them susceptible to so many health issues, including cancer. Inflammation is the word that we're going to keep hearing, and is actually touted to be the reason for many of these diseases. A low-grade inflammation and disturbance to the metabolic equilibrium can make your body age. Once present in any organ, aging of the body speeds up. I'm sure you're all thinking, what does a 24-year-old non-science student know about all of this? Well, these are the lessons that I have learned in my period of self-discovery. When I see my peers and my friends go through issues that our parents and grandparents would have faced later in their life, it makes me think, what is the cause for all of this? Is it lack of sleep? Is it poor eating habits? Is it stress? Or is it all of the above? Why is our biological age higher than our chronological age? We are what we eat. Our forefathers had a brilliant relationship with their food. They ate fresh, they ate local, they ate in moderation, they didn't believe in eating in leftovers, and most importantly, they ate on time. What I mean by eating on time is that they ate before sunset. But today, food has become commerce. Food is available at all times and every day. I mean, thanks to our food delivery apps. In order to keep fruits and vegetables fresh, they're sprayed with so many chemicals. There's a high number of preservatives in packaged foods. And most importantly, to be economical, there's a massive, massive compromise on quality. In a sense, there's no connection between the cook and the person consuming the food. Top chefs around the world have constantly reiterated the fact that there needs to be an emotional connect between the person cooking your food and the person eating it. Food can't be measured in terms of being good or bad or healthy or non-healthy. It is information to our body and needs to be used as a nourisher. Today, most foods cause gut inflammation, which speeds up aging. For those of you who don't know, the gut is the most important organ in our body, and it controls our immunity while protecting us from pathogens and inflammation. So when the gut becomes sluggish, whatever food we eat isn't really absorbed very well, leading to nutritional deficiencies. When I was actually advised by my doctors to avoid eating inflammatory foods such as dairy or gluten, I felt victimized. I was angry. I mean, as a food blogger, I used to think about what I would post. Considering most of my favorite foods included either dairy or gluten, I was at a loss for words. But then when I understood that this moderation will help me lead a sustainable life and be able to consume whatever I wanted even in the later years, my approach to eating changed. Now, my plate is filled with fresh vegetables, fruits, local foods, and native foods. It's important for us to also realize that we need to be grateful when we're eating the food. We shouldn't be guilty while eating the food, and we should also just be happy that we have such a good meal in front of us. I mean, sure, I do have cravings, and social media doesn't make it easier, especially when I scroll through pictures, and I do also have the fear of missing out. So that brings me to FOMO. I believe FOMO is the single biggest reason for the deterioration of our mental health and physical health. We're constantly wanting to be connected to people all over the world and know about everything that goes on. Earlier, people rose with the sun and retired after dark. But due to technology, even after we climb into bed these days, we seem to be up for hours. What people don't realize is that these devices, they give off a blue light that actually hamper the brain's ability to produce melatonin, which induces deep sleep and keeps your body cool at night. While some may not look at their phones before they go to bed, the constant notifications that keep coming in from our mails, from our text messages, and our apps hamper our slumber. And this can lead to biological aging. All these reasons result in us not being very productive the next day. So, I always loved watching movies before I went to bed. I watch a lot of television shows and believed that this was the only stress reliever that worked in my favor before going to bed. But my recent discovery is that I actually sleep much better when I don't look at a device before I go to bed. So this has made me learn that the quality of my sleep is as important as the length of my hibernation. So in order for me to sleep peacefully, I practice meditation and gratitude to negate all the negative thoughts, the bad experiences, and most important, the unnecessary conversations that I have during the day. The unnecessary conversation makes me want to speak about mental health. Despite being in the 21st century, there's a massive stigma associated with it. If we as people were more forthcoming and expressed ourselves better, we'd be a much happier population. When we're stressed, we don't deal with emotions the right way. People don't realize that negative mental health or poor mental health can actually result in biological aging because it leads to inflammation, it reduces your immunity, and it builds up fat inside your body. Instead, we all resort to coping mechanisms such as shopping or alcohol or turning to a spiritual guru for us to fill the void, but that's temporary. And this ends up making us get caught up in a vicious cycle of not healing. Negative feelings and negative emotions are real. And if pushed down deep without any self-repair, it can give rise to some deadly diseases. Suppressing emotions can lead to anxiety, which can lead to depression. Angela Hahn from the Amsterdam Medical Center in Netherlands and her colleagues analyzed the structure of the DNA with people suffering from depression and people who weren't suffering from depression. They made an intriguing discovery, stating that the DNA structure of people with depression was on an average 8 months older than the structure of the people who weren't suffering with the condition. But why do we get depressed? I think it all boils down to the expectations that we have from ourselves and people. I have major trust issues. I don't let many people into my life. I love to protect my feelings because I'm always afraid that someone might hurt me. But recently I've realized that despite many of my friends betraying my trust, it wasn't a reflection of my behavior, but a reflection of the situation that they were going through at that point in time. A good way of trying to cope with anxiety is to engage in some sort of physical activity. When we play a sport, or we're running, or we're just completely sweating it out somewhere, there's a massive endorphin release. And more importantly, the extra oxygen that we inhale allows us to keep our hormones in balance and our cortisol level balanced. According to yoga, it's important for us to be in sync with the 5 elements, which is fire, earth, water, air, and space. Something as simple as the position of your body can help reduce your biological age. For example, if your neck, your shoulders, your lower back, and your muscles are all engaged when you're sitting or you're standing, it increases the blood circulation to the brain, which increases muscle strength greatly, which reduces the inflammation in your body, which ends up reducing your biological age. We as human beings were never meant to lead sedentary lifestyles. From hunting for food to trying to escape predators or to building your own home, everything was physical. In fact, the human beings of the prehistoric era would be at least 100 times stronger than our healthiest Olympians today. So what does all of this mean? What does a biological age being greater than our chronological age mean? For one, it can affect our career growth. In a world filled with competition, we can't afford to slack or be inefficient or be unhealthy. Our medical expenses increase, our self-esteem and confidence levels come down, and we're just not able to live life to the fullest. I've slowly learned about the pressure on my time and on my body, and I'm still learning. But what my biggest takeaway is that while it is important to prioritize your mental health and your physical health, self-love shouldn't equate to being selfish. There's a lot of love to give and to receive in this world. It's important for us to analyze what is happening on the inside instead of resorting to quick fixes that could alter our skin or our body. It's important to realize who deserves an answer, who deserves an explanation and who deserves nothing. It's important to make right choices. So everyone, please make wise choices. Thank you.